Yo, what is going on, everybody? It is Brave Cat here once again with another Frontier Signals update. Hope everyone has been having a good time. I have been making some pretty good work on this. So I've totally separated the live feeds from the home page. I think that'll help a lot because, well, I think the organization and the optimization is going to be a lot better with that, so that when if you do, go to this website once it's live, you won't immediately be loading all of the data and stuff, which that'll help a lot with traffic going to those sources as well. So it'll be more like, if you actually want to look at these things, then you can go to them. And this is just kind of, this is just basic kind of whatever. This will have hopefully more to it as I think of things, and then we'll have basically all of the kind of info, references, and frontier discoveries going on up here with the feeds on the thing below it. So this has been fully kind of organized, and there's still, again, some potential optimization I can do here. Like I said, I believe there's a way to only make the data load, only fetch the data when the thing is actually open. So that would help a lot, but I think for now, just having it on a separate thing, hopefully that's good enough. Now look, it's really this SDO video section. This is really what takes up all the bandwidth. Now these top two ones are the only ones that I actually have autoplay. The rest of them are not on autoplay, so that actually does help quite a bit with the optimization. So, it's only going to really load the whole video if you click play on it. And now, the magnetic field lines, you have that, but this is just an image, like an 800 by 800 image. And then, of course, I haven't even gotten into like the mobile optimizations yet. So that'll be a whole nother can of worms I gotta open. But that's kind of what we're looking at for now. We've got the magnetogram here, which I want to try to have a couple more sunspot related display items here. And okay, nothing has really been going on the last couple days, although I've been working a lot with these satellite charging hazard maps here, and even though we haven't really had much happen, look, this is all nominal. All right, no geomagnetic storms, none of that, and there's some more charts that I want to get here as well. For some of the other solar wind related data things. So I don't know if this is just stuck on something. No, it's updating. It's definitely live. And it's like we've just had this constant hazard, charging hazards for like satellites and stuff. I don't know a whole lot about this, but I did... Oh, okay, well, I do have a whole about section for these, and it doesn't want to load right now. I'll figure out what's wrong with that. And then, of course, we have the auroral forecasts, which, they look a little bit above average. But again, there's nothing really going on here. And yet, of course, well, there seems to be some particular reason why even when we have minor or no solar activity, there still seems to be just a lot more turbulence with these related things like, atmospheric, geomagnetism, and everything quite literally under the sun is going haywire, even though the sun is just kind of like, the sun is just whispering sweet nothings at us, and yet something's going down. So if we go to this about section here, I just kind of organized and updated the links and resources section here. So we got stuff for space and geomagnetism. There's quite a few more sources I can put in here. earthquakes and volcanism. Again, there's a lot more things I can add. This is just kind of the basics. We've got a section for weather and atmosphere, which for now we just have the windy map because that's a pretty good kind of all-in-one thing. But I want to have more links for that as well. And then finally we have this last tab here, which is going to be pretty much the crux of Frontier, what Frontier Signals is really all about. And so yeah, it has some more advanced topics, mostly relating to ECDO, which basically relates to like the Earth crust displacement theory. The E stands for exothermic. There's different trigger mechanism theories, but the basic idea is like, you know, this is going to be resources for the advanced stuff, which includes the survival community that I am a part of, and the suspicious observers community, which is kind of what led me into all these things, as well as a growing number of other independent researchers looking into the very same thing, similar theories, similar fields, and whatnot. So, you know, this is something I can always add more to, but I've sort of, you know, updated and organized that a little bit better. And so that's what we're looking at in terms of the website updates. Now, there's still some advanced website related things I gotta look into before that thing is even ready to be hosted somewhere. I've really just been working on the cosmetics, the layout, the functionality, and all of that, but there's still quite a few more things I need to polish up and figure out before that thing's even ready to be hosted. You know, proper citations, other references, maybe even disclaimers, you know, so I really want to try to cover all bases before I get that thing out. Again, for now, it's kind of just my tool right now to kind of continue looking at all these things. So I'm just going to go over earthquakes really quick because besides, okay, now the deep earthquakes. All right, now that is something, that is the development that is mostly should be concerning. We've had basically a whole nother round of deep earthquakes, and we've already seen. Now, okay, here's the weird part. We've seen larger, or sorry, not large, but shallower activity immediately pop up following these deep earthquakes, but they aren't necessarily larger, but it looks like they're starting to form potentially some sort of swarm. Now, I don't know if any of these are duplicates from different feeds. They really shouldn't be. Europe is Europe, Canada is Canada, and the USGS is pretty much the rest of it. You know, I don't see Europe really ever looking at, you know, showing earthquakes down here, and the Canada feed, the most I've seen is them show some earthquakes happening in the US, and even as far as that goes, looks like, now see, it's hard to tell, but it looks like we've had some activity going on previously, but recently it's been pretty empty. So again, like my last video, kind of just waiting for something to pop up here. That's a huge part of looking for the next earthquake, is you're looking in between sets of earthquakes. You're looking where the places haven't been hit yet, that are along plate boundaries, or even in locations where there's some other geographical thing, whether it's man-made, so you got drilling points, fracking, which can cause, you know, perforations where energy wants to release, or you're looking at other things that may induce an earthquake, or more like, you know, attract the seismic wave to it. You know, there's a lot of kind of speculative things regarding very low frequencies, which is what earthquakes are, that's what the seismic energy basically is. It's a very low frequency, and well, guess what also uses very low frequencies? You have radar and some of the other kind of radio related things, instruments, military related things. There's a lot more things that, technology related that use or harness very low frequencies. So, those things are slowly kind of coming together, like, in relation to each other. So, anyways, that was a little bit of just kind of a word soup vomit. But we're still waiting on some of these watch zones to strike, like, Nevada, California border here. We have had activity showing up here, so we have pressure moving in, trying to fill the space, basically, from the previous 4s. Again, we're kind of looking at these previous 4s that have struck here already, and now we're looking at the middle point. So we are seeing some activity. There was a forecast from Dutch for up to a 6, right where we see, pretty much right where we see this 3.3, maybe a little bit southeast of that, in the Long Valley caldera. That is kind of the main one, and then we have the forecasting area for South America, which one of these places has already been hit as that pressure comes in here, and now it looks like we have another new round of pressure that's going to be following in right behind it. Let's see, there's been some more mid-Atlantic ridge kind of earthquakes here, kind of representing. Now, okay, this is interesting. So we had that forecast for South America, but now we're seeing earthquakes hit the mid-Atlantic ridge, and potentially spots down here as well. So, just kind of my own little theory, maybe this previous round of energy is kind of more or less maybe skipping South America and just kind of going out here. But we do have a new round of pressure from these deep earthquakes going up, out, and away. So I don't know, we'll just see what happens. And we're also looking at the Philippines for something else to happen. And that's mostly it. Of course, there's always things. Kamchatka has been very active since last year, maybe even before that. Last year is really when I started getting back into looking at these things. And then like years ago, I had another kind of episode of watching these things. And then it kind of quieted down for a bit. And then starting sometime last year, it seems like everything has just been exploding. Looks like we have, it's funny, we got an earthquake right next to the Dutch Synths logo. And we've had several earthquakes on this side of the Indo-Australian plate. So if I just turn this view on, showing the plate boundary, as we can see, the Indo-Australian plate, it stretches really far, like basically over to Africa. So this is still part of the Indo-Australian plate. And we've been seeing earthquakes even over here and pretty much all the way around. So the entire Indo-Australian plate has basically been moving, which means that there really is a tremendous amount of activity. Something potentially even unprecedented is happening on this planet. Which is precisely the reason why I'm making these videos, why I've been studying this, why I stopped making video game content. Because yes, whether you're looking at what's happening with weather and atmosphere related things, ocean currents, space weather, ionospheric things like the auroras, earthquakes, volcanism, like everything across the board, there seems to be something unprecedented happening on this planet. And that is exactly what this website is for. I want to try to catalog and research pretty much every aspect of it. again, it also comes back to ancient history too. That's why some of these things that may or may not be happening, that seem very evident to be happening, regarding ECDO and some of these advanced kind of catastrophism topics, then you look back into ancient history, and then it's like, oh, this isn't just a one-time thing. Like, this has been happening on this planet in cycles. Like, you know, this is a pattern. So yeah, that's, you know, kind of my little take on it. Not really a little take, more like a earth-shattering, cosmological Super Bowl kind of take. But, you know, this is what I find to be important now. There's a lot of contacts, a lot of communities, a lot of people coming together, independent researchers, all sorts of people from all sorts of walks of life are slowly, I guess for the lack of a better term, waking up to these things. So, but anyways, that'll about do it for today's video. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll catch you all in the next.